Here with Deacon Jack Sullivan, whom you've met before, and he's going to tell us for a moment about a book he's coming out. He's being published soon about John Henry Newman. I think it's called Heart to Heart Speaks or something like that. Why don't you tell us about your book, Deacon Jack?
Well, first of all, it started with me as a youngster, a broken person, came from a very violent alcohol family. Um, I also had serious dyslexia, and as well as eczema. Matter of fact, when I was a kid, the people in the community wouldn't let me play with their children because they thought I had leprosy.
Is that right?
Um,
And after
and
all that, you were able to go to law school and become a judge. My goodness.
well, as I say, and I had a very severe father who was a subject of alcoholism. Uh, so it left me very quiet, subdued, alone, and terribly
Broken, as you were saying.
depressed.
It's
Well,
understandable.
things started to change. I just managed to get through high school. All things started to change when I went to Stonehill College, which is a Catholic college and locally here, run by the Holy Cross Fathers and affiliated with Notre Dame
Right.
in Indiana. Um, and I had an experience where formerly I didn't believe in God, and I had to go to theology classes, and I said, I'm not going to believe anything until it becomes reasonable to me. To me, it's all a matter of emotionalism.
Right.
Well, I had an experience in my room at Stonehill where I felt a tremendous sense of peace all of a sudden. And from that moment on, I didn't have to be satisfied intellectually that there is a God. Matter of fact, 2 days later, I went to one of the registrar of the college, who I became friendly with for my confession. So things started to turn.
So it was quite a supernatural conversion, a spiritual conversion more than an intellectual conversion.
And then, of course, I went to, after graduation from Stonehill, I went to Georgetown. I was going to go into the Foreign Service, a master's degree in Foreign Service. But I decided to come back to Boston, go to law school there, figuring the people in the United States needed a lawyer much more than they needed a diplomat overseas. I saw the hypocrisy of it too. So came back, went to law school. I had to work hard because um, most of my homework involved um, diagnosing cases, Supreme Court cases. And aside from learning the subject matter, I had to constantly review Supreme Court cases, either state or federal. There was an awful lot of reading involved. It was tough on me because I had dyslexia.
Right.
But I hung in there and I worked hard, and I graduated from law school, took the bar, passed it the first time, went into practice. I had some marvelous cases. One of them was a landmark case on teachers' tenure in this state with our state Supreme Court.
I have to ask you, and how
we changed the law on tenure involving specialty teachers like art teachers, music teachers, phys ed teachers that are not taught 5 days a week For the longest while, they were considered substitute teachers
I see.
without tenure, without
I see.
protection of tenure.
Right.
So in my case, I represented an art teacher that was fired without a hearing after 11 years of being a teacher.
Congratulations for that.
So went all the way up the ladder to the Supreme Court, changed the law, and now specialty teachers also have a right to attain tenure after 3 years in a particular school system.
That's quite an accomplishment.
So,
Deacon Jack,
I enjoyed the law.
Yeah, we have a few minutes. Could you tell us how this connects with your book?
I enjoyed trial work. And then, of course, I went into the court system and was magistrate for 30 years in Plymouth.
Right.
But then I had a calling to go into diaconate formation. Interestingly enough, I couldn't. I had to withdraw my name just before I applied in 1998 because my wife Carol was told she had to go to classes too, and she couldn't with young kids. So I had to withdraw my name. So we had to wait 2 years to reapply. This time, Carol said yes, my wife. The night before the application
deadline
closed. After 2 years in diaconate formation, I had the back problem, of course.
Of which you were cured through St. Newman's intercession.
Yeah. There were actually 2 miracles.
Right. You've told us about them. Yeah. You've told us about the first miracle to continue your studies and the second one after your surgery. Yeah. And so your book, it tells a little bit about that, your relationship with Newman.
What my book is about is how I was guided by our blessed Lord. All of my experiences, all of my failures, set me in the direction that the good Lord wanted me to go. Most of them were based upon my failures. I learned a lot through suffering.
Yes.
And as I say, I was badly depressed for many, many years, and intellectually handicapped with the dyslexia. But I since that experience I had in college, I started to grow in the faith, and it seems that every time I was faced with some affliction or trial, I'd pray for God's help, and without any effort on my part or any work on my part, the problem would be resolved.
Right.
And this kept on repeating itself and repeating itself. So I'm growing, hopefully, in grace through each successive tragedy, each successive affliction. And then, of all people that I should learn about when I was about to be cast out of the diaconate formation and become a crippled, I heard about Newman accidentally on a TV program.
Newman, who had suffered a lot in his life, and
my father, C. John,
suffered a number of failures and a lot of hardship becoming Catholic, and then once a Catholic, you've talked about this. He had suffered a lot.
So my book is actually talks about my progression and my preparation in my life for what God had planned for me. My meeting with His Eminence, the kindly old man,
yes,
who was an intellectual giant and a moral giant,
and a father, and a good father,
and a wonderful, wonderful priest, and a kind man.
Yeah.
Not an arrogant man,
That's
but a kind man. And I gravitated toward him immediately because he suffered through all kinds of afflictions. And it was by accident at a particular TV program that I first prayed to Newman after I was introduced to him by the program. I prayed to him at the end of the program and received my first miracle of hearing, where the pain went entirely away, the agony of my back entirely gone, even though the physical condition hadn't changed at all. Never in the history of spinal science has anybody had that experience, according to what my surgeon told me.
Your surgeon. Deacon Jack, we're going to have to finish the interview. Tell us the name of your book again.
The name of my relationship with Cardinal Newman, Heart Speaks to Heart.
And it's going to be published. It should come out.
It was Newman's motto, where his heart speaks to our blessed Lord, our God, the kindly light of truth. Okay. I use the same analogy with my relationship with Newman.
He speaks to
my
you.
heart speaks to his.
To his.
And his heart speaks to God.
We look forward to reading it. This is wonderful. It'll be coming out this fall of 2022.
It'll be coming out probably...
or the spring.
The editing has been finished. It's finished. It should be out within a month or so.
And who is the editor, the publisher?
Publisher is a publishing house in Rome.
Okay.
He said, assisting them is a publishing house in London.
In London. Well, we look forward to getting the details and telling others about it. We're going to have to close, but thank you very much, Deacon Jack. This is wonderful to hear about your life and your friendship with Newman and what God has been doing through you and in your life.
It's many people have been healed because of this relationship.
Yes, yes, it's marvelous. That's what God does, and it's.
But the tragedy still goes on. You know, because I lost. Yeah, I'm so excited about my vocation because it took a miracle for me to be ordained.
Yes.
How can I take our faith, my ministry, for granted? But here I is, as of the beginning of last summer, I'm cast out of the church.
Well, not really. There's always there's difficulties and hardships, but then our Lord opens up a new door for us. Yeah. One door closes, another opens. His providence, His kindly providence, is looking after us. Thank you very much, Deacon Jack.
Yep.
God bless you.